Now in the home screen, we need to add two states. The first one will be a list of crypto objects. So say underscore cryptos. And we also need to import the crypto model. And then the second one will be a loading state. So say underscore loading, and we'll start off as false. Now what we want to do is that when the home screen first loads, we want to make an API call. Now in order to do that, we want to use one of the lifecycle methods, and this one is called initState. Now if you've used React in the past, this is similar to using the useEffect hook with an empty list of dependencies, or using component did mount in class components, or in something like Android, this is similar to onCreate. On Swift or iOS, this is similar to view did load. And here what we want to do is we want to make a call to fetch cryptos, so underscore fetch cryptos, which is a function that we will define right now. So this will be asynchronous, so we are going to give it a type of future type void, and then we'll say fetch cryptos and be async. And then we want to make a call to the crypto API. For that, we'll use a try catch block. So a try catch block is used to handle errors. So whatever is within the try block is executed. If an error does occur, we'll go into the into the catch block. Now there's also another block that you can add, which is the finally block. This is used for cleanup. So basically, it will be executed regardless of whether there's an error in try or not. So if the try executed successfully, the final block will be executed. If the try failed and we go into the catch block, the finally block will still be executed. Now we'll see why we actually need to use that. So before we make the API call, we need to set the loading state to true, because we want to show a loading indicator in the screen so that the user knows that we're waiting for something to happen. And this is because the API could take time. So first thing we'll do is we set the state of loading to be true. Now why are we using set state? So let's say we did not use set state. Let's say we comment this out and we just set loading is equals to true. Now if you do something like this, this doesn't cause a re-render. So when you use set state, the build method is called again. So the widget is re-rendered on the screen. So that means that when the widget re-renders, we're going to have a new value of loading. So if we do not use set state, the widget will not re-render. That means it will not show a loading indicator. Now at the end, after the execution is completed, we need to set loading to be false. So we're going to say loading is equals to false here. Now if an error does occur, we want to show a snack bar that shows at the bottom of the screen, and it says, hey, the API call failed. So for that, we're going to use a scaffold messenger dot of context, and then we say show snack bar. We'll give it a snack bar widget, and we'll say content is equals to text failed to fetch cryptos. Now you'll say, why can't we just set the loading state to false here, right? Now let's say here we're making call to API, right? If this call to the API fails, whatever happens afterward will not be executed, and we're going to go into the catch block. Now you can say, okay, we can just add this here as well. So now if this failed, we can go into the catch block and call this. So we could do that, but then now you're writing this twice, right? So why write it twice when you can just write it once here, and it's much cleaner. So this is why we're using a final block. So let's look at how to make the call to the API. So we're going to say final response is equals to await do. So do is the package that we're using to make API requests, and we say .get and HTTPS, and then we're going to use the base URL, which is defined in the constants file, and then we say cryptos path. Now let's import the do package, and let's quickly go to the constants file to show you what we're talking about. So the base URL is the URL api.coincap.io, and then the cryptos path is the endpoint here. We can also see the API call, so you can see here we have the base URL and then the path. Now this is the data that comes back. It's a JSON, and then it has a key data, and this key data references a list of all the crypto objects. So let's go back to home screen. So what we'll do is say list of type crypto, and then we'll call it cryptos. Now notice that at the top we have an underscore here, and here we don't, so they're not the same variable. And then we'll say response.data. So response.data gives us the outer level JSON object, and we want to access the data key inside this outer level object. So again, we're going to say access the data key, and what this is a list or an array, so we want to map over it. So we're going to say dot map, and then it will give us a function. So this function will take in as a parameter each particular JSON object. So we're going to say JSON, and then here we'll say crypto.fromJSON, and then just pass in the JSON parameter. So this will convert every JSON object into an actual crypto object. Now the map function gives us an iterator, so we need to convert it to a list, so we have to say dot to list. We also need to cast it into a list of type crypto. Now at the end, once we have that, let's also set the state of cryptos into the new cryptos that we just created. So what this will do is that it will set this cryptos list to a new crypto list, which is what we have here, and this will cause a re-render. And when this re-render occurs, the build method is called again, and then it will show data on the screen. So the first thing we'll do is add the loading indicator. So here we're going to say underscore loading and then question mark. So this is a ternary operator, so this is a Boolean operation, and then if it's true, we're going to execute the first part. If it's false, we're going to execute the second part. So if it's true, we want to show a circular progress bar. So what we're going to do is let's add a container, and then that will have a child, it will have a center widget, and then it will be a circular progress indicator, and we'll give it a color to be K green color. Now if we refresh this, you'll notice at the beginning for a second it showed the loading indicator, and then it stopped. Now when it stopped, it means that the data did come back. Now here in the list view builder, instead of returning a placeholder, what we can do is first get the crypto object. So we're going to say crypto is equals to the list of cryptos at the particular index. Now here the item count also should be underscore cryptos.length. So basically what we're doing here is that this is going to be managed by the state. So at the beginning, when the component first renders, it's going to be an empty list. So the length here, the value of it will be 0. So nothing will be rendered. But once we make an API call, and then we set the cryptos list into the crypto list that we get back, now the list will change to whatever we get back. Now here we also get an index for every item in the list. So with that index, we're going to be able to get the current crypto object for each list item. And then here, let's render a list tile. And the first will be a title, and then we're going to say text will be crypto.name. So you can see now we're rendering all the names of all the cryptos. Next will be the subtitle, and then we'll say text crypto.symbol. And then we have the leading widget. So leading will start off with the crypto.rank, and this is a number or an integer, so we have to convert it to a string. Now we want this to be centered, so what we'll do is wrap this with a sized box widget. Give that widget a width of 30. And let's also wrap the text widget into a center widget. And then when we save that, this should be centered. Let's also add a trailing widget, which is at the end here. So we'll make it a column because we want to render two items on top of each other. So the children will be text widget that will say crypto.price USD to string as fixed and then 2. So basically, so the price in USD is of type double or a decimal, and we want to round it to do the 2 decimal places. So we're going to say 2 string as fixed and then pass in 2 decimal places, and we'll make that USD. For the column, let's give it a cross-axis alignment of cross-axis alignment dot end, and the main axis alignment to be main axis alignment dot center. And after this, we're gonna say sized box. We'll add a height of 4, so basically some spacing. And then at the end, we'll say crypto.change percent 24 hours, each like that. So now we have the price in USD and we have the change percentage in 24 hours. Let's also add some styling. So for the first one, the text, we're gonna say style, text style, color is equals to K gray color, or the name will be a green color, so say K green color. And let's copy the style. Symbol will be gray, so K gray color. And this will be the same as the rank. And it will be the same as the price as well. So here. For the last one, we're gonna make it conditional. So basically we're gonna say if crypto.change percent 24 hours is greater than 0. So if it's positive, we're gonna make it green, so K green color. Otherwise we're gonna make it red, so we're gonna say K red color. So now as you can see here, if the change in percentage is positive, then it's green, otherwise it's red. Now lastly, what we want to do is add an arrow. So the arrow would show up or down based on the percentage. So let's go up here. Let's create a method. So we're gonna say icon underscore get prefix icon, and then double percent change. And then here we'll make optional color parameter. And we're going to say it's return. We'll check the percent change. If it's less than or equals to 0, then we're going to return an icon, icons.arrow underscore drop underscore down rounded, and we'll give it a size of 32 and a color of whether there's a color passed in or a red color. Otherwise, we're gonna return an icon of icons.arrow underscore drop and then up. Again, size will be 32, and the color will be either if there's a color passed in or default to a green color. And now what we can do is come back down here and wrap this in a row, and then at the top we're going to say underscore get prefix icon and then pass in crypto dot change percent 24 hours. Now you'll notice now the row just took too much space, so what we're going to do is constrict it. So we'll wrap this row with a size box widget. So we're going to say size box, and then width is equals to 100. And let me just refresh. Now let's also give some alignment to the row. So we're going to say main axis alignment is equals to main axis alignment dot end. So now everything is aligned correctly.